How's it going, folks? This is Sherv back after a briefish hiatus. It's been a while. Been off the scene and just taking a break from YouTube, trying to stay off the internet as a whole as much as I can, and doing a lot of listening so far this summer. And I haven't purchased much at all since the big LA meetup back in June. Every so often, I don't know how often, a couple years or so, I tend to gather myself in and stop buying at a rate that I normally go at, because I don't know, sometimes it seems like I get in this kind of assembly line mentality. Batch of new records come in, I listen to them, file them away. Another batch comes in, I listen to them, file them away. And I get to the point where I realize there's a lot here. There's a lot here for me to listen to. I need to catch up, need to revisit things, need to listen to stuff that I may not be completely familiar with, to the extent that I'd like to be. And so, I've gotten a couple of albums since then, but nothing really significant. And just doing a lot of nothing other than listening to music. I know there are people who like to keep busy, constantly like to keep busy. I don't mind being busy, but I also enjoy and relish time to just not do anything. As Bon Scott said, doing nothing means a lot to me. Yeah, down payment blues. And so that reminds me of another line, Richie Blackmore. There's an interview with him, I've seen it on YouTube years ago, where he talks about looking out the window and doing nothing, just thinking, and how people need to do more of that, looking out the window, doing nothing. And that's Blackmore. So what's playing here is it's Mal Waldron, Black Glory, 1971 on Enya, recorded in Munich at the Domicile. It was a trio with Jimmy Wood on bass and Pierre Favre on drums. And as far as piano trio records go that I have, I don't have anything with as much action by the three musicians as this. And it's never over the top. They're just really, all three of them, engaged equally on this excellent record, 1971. And so let's start with a musician I've been really listening to a lot here recently, and I have three of his records. I'm listening to them all. He's a gentleman out of Los Angeles, and as far as I know, he's still with us in his 90s. That's Anthony Ortega. New Dance. Ortega is, well, this record, first of all, is one of those that just above and beyond, complete top shelf. You could say, spiritual jazz, avant-garde. Ortega, born and raised in LA, and started out professionally, I think, right around 1950. Mostly on the LA scene. He spent some time in Sweden or Switzerland, I think, later on. But his output as a leader, going back to the 50s, isn't that much. I think he led or co-led maybe 3 albums in the 50s leading up to this. This is 1967, recorded in late 66, early 67. But again, this is pure. Yeah, I was listening to this. I listened to this several times, and I was thinking about his sound on the saxophone. And this album takes you through. And I was thinking, yeah, there are parts of this where it's like the way he's playing is like the tiger's roar, but then also he can play like the purr of a kitten, and it just takes you through that. Revelation label, and these are either duets or trio recordings with 2 different bass players, the great Chuck DeMonico or Bobby West, and Bill Goodwin is on drums. 4 long tracks, they're all 10, 11 minutes, and fantastic album here. Highly recommend Ortega. I don't know if anyone's shown, I don't recall the years I've been watching videos if anyone's shown this. Maybe Secco Funk, a long time ago, and this is actually from the Occidental College Music Department there in LA. And this was the the follow-up, and these are from the same sessions as New Dance. Permutations, same players, but this isn't, don't think this is like leftover stuff. This is just as good, and there are more songs on here, little shorter tunes, a couple of standards, I Love You, My Buddy, 'Tis Autumn, and yeah, Revelation Records, and then those came out in 67, 68, and then he didn't come out with another leader until this one, Rain Dance, 1978, and on those 2 he plays alto sax, and this one he plays various reeds, baritone, or I'm sorry, bass clarinet, tenor, alto, and flute. And you've got vibes, guitar, bass, and drums. And his wife plays the vibes, Mona Ortega, and piano. And listening to all these, it's like, wow, this is just really intense, unique music. And yeah, I started thinking about the West Coast scene, LA scene, and it's like, for me, I feel like I don't know as much about the West Coast scene as I'd like to, even though it's right here in my backyard. And then it got me also to think about Mexican Americans on the jazz circuit in LA post World War II. I don't know much about that either. I don't know if there's any writings on it or anything to watch about Mexican American jazz musicians. I know Chuck Flores, the drummer, and a mentor to a lot of musicians at that time, like coming up in the 40s and 50s. He's a trombonist, Ray Vasquez, and then Vasquez actually was like an overall entertainer, but started out as a trombonist and took a lot of musicians under his wing. But whether those musicians became known like Anthony Ortega or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, this is a nice one too. This one has 8 tracks, and there he is, 1978, on Trend Records. Fantastic. This one's cheap. The other two you might have to pay a little for. This one is cheap heat, as they say, Ortega. So that got me to thinking about West Coast, LA based stuff, and I ventured into a little bit of big band. I don't listen to a lot of big band at all. I have a few things here and there, but Gerald Wilson I really like, and he was based in LA. And this is the Golden Sword on Pacific Jazz, and Ortega plays on this. A lot of flute. His flute playing is outstanding on this. And Wilson, what sets Gerald Wilson apart for me is, even though it's a bigger band, he tends to play in the modal vein. This is almost like, I feel like this could be film music. And he plays, he gets into exotic territory, and a lot of Spanish sounds too, and like the Golden Sword, and he does Man of La Mancha, Mi Corazon, My Heart. And the players on here, I can't remember exactly what year this is, early mid-60s. You got Ortega playing flute, Jimmy Woods alto, not Jimmy Wood bass player, Jimmy Woods alto, Teddy Edwards on tenor, Harold Land on tenor, Jack Wilson piano, Lorindo Almeida guitar, Roy Ayers is on here, and Jimmy Owens plays a number of trumpet solos. Yeah, Gerald Wilson and his orchestra. It's good stuff. Again, more cheap. His albums are always like $10 or less. And then that led me to Chico Hamilton, another LA musician. And this is a reissue, Chico Hamilton Quintet Spectacular. This is probably a 60s reissue of his first album as a leader, introducing the Chico Hamilton Quintet from 1955. And this has Buddy Collette, another LA guy. And his albums, I don't have anything as a leader by Buddy Collette. When I see them, most of the time they're kind of thrashed. And I don't see him that often. And Jim Hall guitar, Fred Katz cello, and Carson Smith bass. And a lot of originals written by different members of the band. They also do My Funny Valentine. And to me, the cello on this, Fred Katz, is kind of the fiber of this. You could say chamber jazz is a way to describe it. 1955, but really, really excellent musicianship. And yeah, again, this is a reissue from the 60s, and I think another pretty cheap one. And then the last of the LA albums I'll show is Curtis Clark, Amsterdam Sunshine. Curtis Clark came on the scene in LA probably late 60s, early 70s, played a lot with Tap Scott. He's on the Nimbus roster. This is Nimbus 1984, recorded in Holland. This is a quintet. Wow, another cello, Ernst Reisiger, Michael Moore alto sax, Ernst Glarem bass violin, and Don Mumford drums. And not every, there's 7 tracks, not every song is with the quintet lineup. There's a trio song, a couple of solo piano numbers, but it doesn't take away from the continuity. Sometimes albums, jazz albums with different lineups scattered through the recording, it seems like you're just hearing this song, that song, now here's another song. But this flows really well. Amsterdam Sunshine, Curtis Clark. People probably know Curtis Clark seen his name on Julian Priester Polarization on ECM. And I wanted to show this box. Jeff Gilson and Malagasy. And Jeff Gilson is out of France. And I've been enjoying his music for years, but I still don't know if his last name is pronounced Gilson or Gilson. I have a feeling it's Gilson. But this is a box, 5 LPs, and it documents recordings from a number of trips he made to Madagascar, starting in the late 60s to the mid 70s, and playing with local musicians. And I've been listening to this because I noticed earlier this year 3 of these albums have been reissued. And like this one, it doesn't have the covers, it just comes in these sleeves. So this box is the 3 albums that were reissued properly at the time on his Palm label, and then the other 2 records on here are just more unreleased. There's a long jam on here with Bayard Lancaster on I think the last LP, and it says possibly Khan Jamal. And it also comes with the 45 replica Creator Has a Master Plan they do. But the 3 albums, and this is the booklet, small booklet, the 3 albums that have been reissued are this one, Malagasy, and Malagasy at Newport, Paris, and Madagascar Now. And these are, the reason I wanted to show this is because, I haven't been watching videos, like I said, but I haven't noticed anyone show these reissues. I think they're highly worth it. It's very modal, a lot of percussion on them. There's actually guitar on a lot of this stuff. Really nice, choppy, rhythmic guitar. But yeah, these albums I think are worth it. They're a little pricey as far as reissues go, but maybe not. To me they're pricey. I'm kind of cheap when it comes to stuff, but I think to get those 3 proper albums might be a little more convenient than seeking out this box set. This is the Jazzman label. I think this came out about 10 years ago. The reissues aren't on Jazzman. It's another label that it escapes me now. But yeah, excellent stuff here. And then, should I flip the side? Mal Waldron, Black Glory. We'll go to side 2. Starts off with this title track. And I was listening a lot of these Honest Jon's, the label Honest Jon's compilations. I have a number of them. These 2 are very interesting. This is Something Is Wrong. Songs from East Africa, 1952 to 57. And these are all recordings from Kenya and Uganda. 52 to 57. This is actually a follow-up to another compilation, Bellyacres Listen, and that one is from can't remember the years, but it leads up. It's earlier than 52 to 57. Excellent stuff. You can see kind of the instrumentation, a lot of strings, a lot of percussion on this. The artists I don't know at all, but yeah, I love these. Honest Jon's does a great job on these, and the booklet. Some have a booklet, some don't. As an example, they call in the notes. They call the string instruments they use a lyre, but they're different kinds. I think there's too many different names that are given to these, so they just call it a lyre. I like that picture. Yeah, Something Is Wrong. That title is taken from a line in one of the songs. And another Honest Jon's here is Son Cubano NYC, Cuban Roots New York Spices, 1972 to 82. And I think these are all, they're not very well known outside of New York. I think they were recorded and mainly played on the radio in New York and vicinity. Never really got around to the rest of the country, but these are Cuban Americans just making single here and there. And Henry Feel, I think I've heard, and there's a couple songs by him. And this is, I mean, again, you look at that cover, it kind of tells you the story of the music. This is the kind of thing that people who really like the Buena Vista Social Club album will dig this. Even though it's not necessarily similar, I think it kind of has the same feel. This is more rootsy, not too upbeat. Like the Buena Vista Social Club is pretty acoustic, you could say. But yeah, excellent stuff. Honest Jon's. Maybe at some point I might do an Honest Jon's video, or someone else can do it. And yeah, 23 minutes. Let's see. Now the East-West collaborations, like jazz musicians collaborating with either Indian or Middle Eastern musicians, are kind of hit and miss for me. But this one I really like. It's John Handy, Karuna Supreme with Ali Akbar Khan, Zakir Hussain, and Yogesh Sahota. Handy, of course, started the Mingus. This is fantastic. It's 3 songs. One song picks up all of side 2, the soul and the Atma, and fantastic stuff. Handy, I'm not sure what he did after this. I don't have any of the albums he did after this, because a lot of times I see these covers and I think, is he playing like pop jazz now or what? And I've never gone for those, but this one is fantastic. You have Ali Akbar Khan on Sarad, you got tabla, tambura, and there's a part in this, I think it might be either the Soul and the Atma or Ganesha's Jubilee Dance, where Handy starts playing a little bit of Miles, which is pretty cool with the Indian instrumentation behind him. Yeah, MPS. And a number of weeks ago I did go to the record store. I wanted to get some inner sleeves, and I was just looking around and came away with this. I love finding this kind of stuff, this Virgin label comp. Yeah, I love the unexpectedness of it. Great stuff here. This is a lot of stuff. I have some things on the Virgin label, but a lot of these I don't have. Like Chili Charles, I don't have. Slap Happy, Clear Light Symphony, I don't have. There's some Captain Beefheart, Kevin Coyne, Tangerine Dream, of course, Robert Wyatt, Mike Oldfield, White Noise 2. But yeah, cool comp. I really like the Kevin Coyne on here. I never had, I don't even know if I've ever heard any Kevin Coyne, but I really like the Kevin Coyne on here. And this, the information on this is a little vague. Some of the songs, it says what album it's from, but there are others, there's no information about the album, so I'm not sure if they're unreleased from the vaults at the time. It's hard to tell. I don't know enough about this to really know where these come from, but again, I love finding stuff like this. It doesn't happen very often. The record store I was at, I was actually like, wow, they have this. Like, I couldn't believe it. But yeah, that might be what you're thinking now. So what? Yeah, I think this came out in 74. Doesn't have a year. I think all these songs on here are like 73, 74. And then this album I got a few years ago is a reissue. Majun. They're a French band. When I saw this, I had no idea what it was. The cover stood out. It was at Amoeba. It was in their world section. They separate by country, a lot of them, and so this was in the France section, and so that got me intrigued. And this is, I believe, from 73, originally on the Sarava label. This is a Soufflé Continuo reissue. And this is kind of, I think it wasn't a hype sticker. The Obi said, like, psych, folk, spiritual jazz. It's kind of all that mixed into one. I think a lot of these players are multi-instrumentalists. Starts out with this kind of in-your-face violin, the first track. And then there's another song on side 2 that reminds me of like a Pharoah Sanders from that era. Yeah, Majun, like I said, I don't know much about it. And that's the other thing. Like, to me, I feel like it's okay if I don't know everything about the stuff I like and the stuff I have. There's only so much room up here. To me, as long as the music is enjoyable and I dig it, I don't need to find every single detail out. But I'm sure there are people out there who know about this and can enlighten me about something. And what do I got here? 4 more, 28.5 minutes. I have a number of Stéphane Grappelli albums from later on in his career, the late 60s through the 70s. This is a nice one. I like all this stuff. I have early stuff with Django Reinhardt. This is with Eddie Louis, the organist, and Pierre Michelot on bass, and Daniel Humer drums. And Festival label. And I know I don't have anything else with this instrumentation: violin, organ, bass, drums. And I don't know what other albums have that, violin with an organ, bass, and drums. They do stuff like All God's Children Got Rhythm, Blue Skies, God Bless the Child, Stormy Weather, Song for Your Supper. There they are. Nice album, I guess you could say a Sunday morning record, maybe. And here's a nice one. Archie Shepp with Karen Krog, High Fly. This is on the Compendium label out of Sweden, and Karen Krog. I don't even know if I'd call her a jazz singer necessarily. Her voice is so unique, really unique, and just brings you in right away. There's a few originals, a couple originals, and like "Sing Me Softly of the Blues," Carla Bley, "Steam," Archie Shepp. That's like you could say his theme song in a way. "Steam." They do "Daydream," Duke Ellington, "Solitude," Duke Ellington, "High Fly," Randy Weston, and "Soul Eyes." And yeah, nice. Who's on here? Charles Greenlee is also on here. Trombone, John Blake piano, Errol Anderson bass, and Beaver Harris drums. Recorded in '76. Archie Shepp, I mean, his discography is just so vast, but he really has a sensitive way about him when he accompanies vocalists in a small lineup. I have another one, "A Touch of the Blues" with Joe Lee Wilson. That's an excellent record. But yeah, that, and we'll finish it up here. I always try to, if I do, I don't try, I incorporate a lot of acoustic guitar records in my listenings, and so a couple here. This is Satie for two guitars. Just like it says, obviously, music of Eric Satie. The guitarists on here are Peter Krause and Mark Bird, and I don't know either of them. This came out in '75 on this Ember label, Ember Classics. I think it's a division of Pi out of the UK. Yeah, I mean, if you know Satie, you might be able to imagine what this is. Nice interplay between the two guitarists, and just really got up one morning when I didn't have to go to work, and it was like 4:30, still dark, quiet in the house. I put this on. Excellent, excellent listen. Yeah, Satie, and it's got all its hits. I think Michael P. Dawson said that. Satie hits. And then finally, yes, we're coming to the end here. This John Renbourn, "The Black Balloon." This is later on. I think this is '77, and this is a different than people who aren't familiar with his later stuff, his '60s stuff. This is different in that the songs are longer, drawn out, but he incorporates some Indian type, almost not quite raga, but there's a feel of India through this. There's a flute, Tony Roberts, and tabor, Stuart Gordon, are really percussion instruments, and yeah, longer songs. I mean, side 2, "The Pelican" and "The Black Balloon" are excellent. This is on the Kicking Mule label. Now I really want to know what year this is. '79. I think it was recorded in '78. Came out in '79. Yeah, great stuff, Renbourn. I love all his early stuff. Like to find albums he did with Doris Henderson. I have a CD box that includes those two albums, but I'd like to find the LPs of those. So yeah, there we go. Listening, what I've been listening to, and I can't remember if I mentioned the few videos I have watched. I've watched a couple of the Revolutions from Big Star 1000. I really like those. Just that concept of what you've been listening to rather than what I've been buying. So yeah, this is a long one. Thanks for your time. We'll see what happens next. Everyone, take care.